Good evening and welcome to tonight's Undaunted, bringing to the news on church stories. I am Unyi Okbala. Let's begin. In a horrifying trend that's sending shockwaves across Ambazonia, a 57-year-old lecturer, Weber Julius, has been arrested for allegedly raping 7 minors aged 2 to 13 in Bamenda. This disturbing case is just the latest in a string of child rape incidents that are on the rise in the country. The numbers are staggering and the stories are heart-wrenching. In recent months, Ambazonians witnessed a surge in child rape cases, with perpetrators targeting vulnerable minors with impunity. The victims are often left traumatized, their lives forever changed by the horrific experiences they have endured. As the people of Bamenda demand justice for the victims and their families, the government is under pressure to take decisive action to address the root causes of these issues. The community Bamenda is calling for increased vigilance, improved protection mechanisms, and harsher penalties for perpetrators. Stay tuned for further updates on this developing story as we delve deeper into the war of child rape in Ambazonia and explore the efforts being made to combat this scourge. But first, let's take the prime headlines. But tonight on Undaunted was that the reports with the ghost town. Ghost town is still strong as of today, Monday the 3rd of March 2025. The Bishop of Boyer survived car accident. This is as a result of the bad nature of road in Bamenda. Chaos has been found in the camp of the enemy. La Republic du Cameroon activist group Bars in the Diaspora attacks minister. Also tonight, a 57-year-old lecturer has been arrested for alleged rape of 7 minors in Bamenda. On the African scene, DR Congo defies pressure over talks with rebel M23. France and the European Union are making moves to secure access to Ukraine's vast mineral resources. That's on the global scene. Now let's get the news in full detail. Ambazonians are winning big with the institution of Monday Ghost Town. Today, Monday, March 3rd, 2025, the entire Ambazonia is grounded as all and sundry observes the day. The institution of the Monday Ghost Town has greatly paralyzed all colonial extortion points of the Republic du Cameroon colonial administrators. The people of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, through the Monday Ghost Town, are frustrating the colonial administration. This is a winning strategy generally accepted by Ambazonians. Ambazonians are closing down their businesses happily on Mondays because of the tremendous results they are enjoying from their sacrifice. Given the negative impact of the Monday Ghost Town on colonial coffers in Ambazonia, the colonial authorities have invested resources to kill the spirit of the ghost town, but to no avail. The colonial regime is suffering from pride not to admit that major projects in the Cameroons are not realized because all funds have been diverted to sponsors in the colonial army without any corresponding returns from Ambazonia. With these deficits, the colonial regime is still arrogantly holding strong to the military option despite multiple calls for a ceasefire. Meanwhile, President Sako has addressed the Federation in an audio emphasizing that when problems are not identified, they cannot be solved. He energized all Ambazonians to remove fear from their hearts. Now, let's get that audio.
Workers, you want to ask, he said, you cannot do that to me. Now my eyes are open. Husbands maltreating wives anyhow. Maybe they were brought from Africa, here in Europe or America, and you want to ask them. Somebody will tell you, his eyes are now open. That's why you cannot do that to him again. So when you hear somebody say my eyes are open, it doesn't mean that he has now become a good person. Some people's eyes open and they become bad people. In that case, I pray that your eyes will never be open. Some people's eyes open and they become very good people because they tell you, once I was blind, now I can see good things and to be a better person. I pray that that will be the kind of eyes that will open for you. When you hear people talk anyhow, attack their benefactors, attack their fathers, attack their good friends, attack their helpers, attack their lovers, those who love them, attack everywhere. And when you want to ask, they say, my eyes are now open. I pray your eyes will not be that open.
Oh, well, all of this is geared towards the fight for independence, and Ambazonians are always ready to do the right thing. Before moving on to our next report, we have our in-house analyst, Bar.Tim Mbeseha, who has rightfully joined us this evening. Bar.Tim Mbeseha, welcome to tonight's Undaunted.
Thank you for having me once more, and happy beginning of the week to all of us.
All right, you're welcome. So let's start with the ghost town. It's been respected even up until now, regardless of all of the atrocities, regardless of all of the pressure from the La Republic to Cameroon government. Ghost town is being respected. While you're trying to also emphasize on that, Bar.Tim Mbeseha, there is this long audio by the president encouraging Ambazonians. But this part about fear got us all thinking. You might just merge the two to also encourage the people of Ambazonia to remain steadfast.
Yeah, I think the problem that most of us, if not just some, have is to marry facts to fiction, to analyze what is going on. How did Ghost Town start and what did it mean? Ghost Town, you remember when Tassan said, come Monday, you will know who owns Ambazonia. What did he mean? Was he contemplating that on Monday he was going to launch a formidable army in Bamenda, in Boya, and Kumba to drive away the enemy? Now, simply say, you will know who owns Ambazonia. In other words, you will know who obey instructions, who takes orders in Ambazonia. That's the civilian population, not an army he was addressing. And so, you take it back to what the president just said, if you mind that segment. My eyes are now open. Oh, I didn't know this is what. My eyes are now open. What is the president referring to vis-a-vis Ghost Town? Ghost Town came in at the end of the negotiation, which Yaoundé was trying to deceive them. It was over the negotiation over schools and the lawyers. That was the main topic there. Yeah, they were not prepared to do anything for them. They were lying as they have always lied. In fact, they refused the lawyers and teachers in Bamenda to meet with the lawyers and teachers in the so-called Southwest. And so they refused to bend. And they said, look, we have a genuine cause that concerns all of us calling the Northwest Southwest, which is called today Ambazonian. We cannot negotiate in two factions. They said, no, you must be doing it in Bamenda. If we go to Boy, we go. Now, their eyes were now open. Their eyes don't open now. What were they dealing with? These two gangsters from Yaoundé. These were a crop of tricksters who at every single moment they would deceive you. The eyes of Ambazonians were opening to the fact that these people were bent on assimilating us once and forever. So we now realize where we were 50, 60 years after 1961. Our eyes are now open to the truth. And the truth is, this marriage that was forced on us was never supposed to be one. Yes, we're fighting the war to get it out. But we're sending the civil message that you've lost control of this thing. Not the physical control where you keep your bee and your police and so on. No, you have lost control of the ordinary citizen, of the woman, of the man who goes to the farm, of the child who goes to school, of anybody there. And so our eyes are now open. Civil disobedience has been used in other worlds before. Civil disobedience is the most powerful weapon that you can use. And translated into ghost towns, that's the most powerful weapon we use. It is a silent weapon, but which is noticed by everybody. What happens to, say, a diplomat who finds himself in Boya or in Bamenda on Monday? Even if he's the highest ranking diplomat from France, from Japan, from America, he knows that his wife will not go down to buy things in the commercial avenue because the stores will be shut. Why? What's Monday being shut? These people are telling the government of Kamunda, look, this thing is wrong. Yeah, they can manipulate, and they have manipulated people all along. But they have not been able to manipulate the idea that ghost towns have come to stay. They themselves have acknowledged that. They don't fix their programs on Mondays because they know nobody will take the orders from them. People have shut down their shops, refuse to make profit from selling whatever thing they're selling because it's ghost town. So the two segments put together, our eyes are now open, and we have to fight it that way. The people who have the arms are doing a good job. But the people who are just ordinary citizens are telling the government that this thing is not what they can just do from the back doors. It's not a thing that you negotiate behind the screen and tell a lie. Our eyes are now open, positively, not negatively, as the president says. Because you can open your eyes and see things differently. You might see black and think that is white. You might refuse to see anything at all. You tell them you're just seeing the ghost. But our eyes are now open to the reality of the situation. The reality is Ambazonia was enslaved. The reality is we have to do everything to push them out. And to get out of this once and for all, we shall not be deceived again. And so the camouflage of 1961, the camouflage of 1972, the camouflage of 1984, changing names and changing positions, has dawned on us that the whole game has been camouflaged in what they call assimilation, as confirmed by the President Paul Biya himself to the international community. We intended to assimilate these people all along, he said, but they refused to accept it. So they have to go back to the drawing board, which is what we're after. And that's what it means to ghost towns. Ghost towns have come to stay. I've had the opportunity to say here, it is called Country Sunday. All over the world, where you call it Sunday, the whole world, different countries, observe only one day in a week. Call it Sunday in the English language, or somewhere in China or something else in the Arab world, but it's only one day. And so we declare this, Sunday is an English word, we declare this Monday Ghost Town, which somebody has coined it correctly, Country Sunday. Stay home, pray, worship in honor of this freedom fighting, because that was the beginning of the freedom fight. Come Monday, you will know who owns Ambazonia, who takes instructions from Zambia and Ambazonia. That's what it was all about. Over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Bar.Tim Mbeseha. Moving on to a very sad report. A shocking case of alleged child rape has surfaced in Bamenda, where 57-year-old Wilbur Julius, a lecturer of the University of Bamenda, has been arrested for allegedly raping 7 minors aged 2 to 13. The accused was presented to the press on February 28, 2025 at the Bamenda Central Police Station. Well, according to Police Commissioner Emmanuel Mbok, the arrest was made after a complaint was filed by the parents of the victims. Initially, Wilbur accepted responsibility for the crime but later claimed innocence. The police investigation revealed that Weber had been using biscuits and bonbons to lure the children to his workshop where the alleged rapes took place. The case is particularly disturbing, with one of the victims, a 13-year-old, reportedly pregnant. Medical reports have confirmed that the 4 of the victims, all daughters of one mother, had been raped by Weber over a period of 1 year. Despite the overwhelming evidence, Weber claims he is innocent and has never raped any child. The case will be presented to the legal department for further investigation, and the community is calling for justice to be served. This case has sparked widespread outrage and concern, highlighting the need for increased vigilance and protection of children in the community. The question is, how much protection can children have? How much protection can a mother give to the children? Bar.Tim Mbeseha, how much protection can a mother give to children when someone who is well educated enough to teach others, would actually be the ones to defile minors of 2 to 13 years? How careful can a mother be? How careful can environment be? And you would also recall that this particular rape incident is occurring on a regular basis. It seems like it's beginning to be the order of the day. Join your thoughts on this.
Well, your central question is, how far can a parent protect a child? I don't have an answer, but certainly you are bound to protect your own children in any form or shape that you think you can. Every mother, every father takes care of his or her children. These are your products, and you have to bring them up to age to do another thing. But go back to the issue, raping of children. Rape is itself a big crime, even against big women, elderly women, matured women. It's a crime. The rape of a child is aggravated crime for which somebody should go down. Twice the punishment that you would have if you were raping an ordinary grown-up lady. And so those crimes occur all the time. The issue is, when they do occur, what do the authorities do? They're supposed to investigate. But do they know how to investigate? Maybe. But they just do the wrong things. For example, presenting somebody to the public is not a form of investigation. Saying that this guy is accused of doing this is not a form of investigation. If the facts are true, as we are told, if this man is a lecturer in the university or even a teacher in a Sunday school, you are dealing with an expert criminal. He's not a guy you catch in the cartel, he's an educated man. He reads these books, he follows these programs. He's very, very educated. So you expect him, if he's accused of anything rightly or wrongly, he's going to mount terrible defense for himself. He's an educated man, he's a rich man, he can afford lawyers. So when you have such a thing before you as investigators, you should know what to do. Yes, those girls, or one of the girls, might be pregnant. It's possible. But they have accused somebody. Up to this point, the man is still innocent. It is the court that will prove him guilty. But the court will only prove him guilty if the investigators do their job, if they do it correctly. Again, I've said, presenting to the public is not an investigation. That's not an investigation at all. Because if I were standing there or you were standing there, what do you go back home with? I saw him. And so what? That man of his age might even have a wife and children of their own. And so what should the police do? Who have not heard who have done it? The first thing they should have done, those children as they are, the first thing you do is, in a proper investigation, you take them to the hospital. If they are that young, the first evidence is, have they been violated? You can prove it. And if that is proved, yes, then you pin down the person. The person you pin down is the person they accused, which you expect him to mount a defense. You don't expect him to come on before they come and say, well, I did it. He's not going to do that. He's going to deny it. Even if he was caught right-handed, he's going to deny it. And so with the intelligence that he has, what the intellectual ability that he has, you expect the investigators to do that. But the investigators will only do as much as the system can allow them. Can they do a DNA test? They are supposed to, but they have facilities there. They are not. So if it goes to court, which I think it will go, will be the question of those little children, what they say and what the man says. Their mother was not part of it. She was not there. That's what the children are telling her. That's what the children are telling you and me. So the mother also went to what the child told me. What the child says It's what will go down on record. And this man again was half lawyer. So the investigation is dependent upon what the system provides for the investigators. Not fake things like putting a guy, show him to the public. There's no investigation at all. Of course, you show him to the public and he was saying, no, I didn't do it. So what does somebody who was there who saw it, what does he go home with? What's his take back home? The poor woman is taken by her children. They are being treated in the hospital on other expense. Why? Why? Because the whole system is a failed system. In a regular system, this man should be behind bars. And should be behind bars as soon as possible because it's a danger to the community. That's not the guy that you set him free on bail. Because if he's alleged to do that, he poses danger to children every day. So that guy should be behind bars, giving room for a proper investigation. Not being set free if he gives money, and we wish he will give money to the gendarme, to the police. And they eventually just set him free. So that is the guy, if you allege that type of thing against an order of that, and the age of the children, that man should be behind bars. Because he poses, the children, not those children are everywhere, running down the streets. So if the man can just grab every little child, 13, 14 years old, and rape them, that's a very dangerous person in the community. Yes, they will say that he's a suspect. But it is difficult, very, very difficult for a little child just to frame that type of story against you. Because there are many other men who live there. So why you? Why are they accusing you alone? Why not Mr. B? Why not Mr. C? Why not Uncle A, B, Z, whatever it is? Why are you? There's something to fear in you. But again, those are symptoms of a failed community. Because after presenting the guy to the public, that's the end of it. We're not going to hear when the thing went to court. We're not going to know what the judgment was. We're not going to know when it was disposed of. Because it collapsed for 5-6 years. And the thing, like any other crime in Cameroon, will just be over. Yes, they raped the children, they are still surviving. What are the people they killed? If people were murdered and their cases died in the cold, how do you think the case of a little boy, a little girl, would survive? Because at the end of the day, the shame on those children. Their parents will be trying to take them out of the environment, that they don't face that trauma of being there. And so the man, everything being what Cameroon is, will simply talk out a few points, a few notes, and they think my end. That is the lawlessness that we want to get out of it. Again, this man should have been, it's a danger to the children, it's a danger to the community, should have been put behind bars. But you cannot put him behind bars forever. You should put him behind bars, or where you can carry out a diligent and fast investigation, and then send him to a trial, where he can vindicate himself, or he can be convicted for the crimes committed against him. That's what I can tell about that. But again, parents have to be careful with their children. You will just give them bonbon. If you have children, what do you do with these bonbon, these biscuits? Teach your children not to go taking free gifts of bonbon, bolo, biscuits. Because there's something that goes with it. And so the parents have to be careful with their children, the way you bring them up, especially in urban towns, Bamenda, Urbanization has brought in a number of criminals into society. And so that's what I can say about it. And thank you for having me the opportunity.
All right, thank you so much, Bar.Tim Mbeseha. Still on very sad news, still trending. You know, of course, for that particular incident, the report has already revealed that doctors have carried out probably experiments and all of that, and they found out that, yes, this man has been responsible for the file and the girls, but would go ahead to see what happens eventually. All right, so the Bishop of the Diocese of Boyer, the Lordship Michael Bibi, has survived a car accident while on his way to Yokaduma for the consecration of the bishop-elect, Musainu Justin Judges Ebengwe. The accident, which occurred on the 28th of February, saw the vehicle carrying the bishop tumble twice before regaining stability. The roads in Ambazonia, in particular, and the Cameroons in general, are in a very deplorable state. The coffers of the colonial regime could not sustain any project, as all resources were being used to equip the colonial army to sustain the 8 years and counting war in Ambazonia. Bishop Bibi attended the ordination mass in Yakaduma with the newly consecrated bishop, despite showing visible signs of pain. Well, according to a communique from the Diocese of Boyer, the bishop sustained chest and head injuries, while journalist Joseph Ochop suffered neck pain. Their driver Emmanuel Che emerged unscorched. Following the ceremony, Bishop Bibi and his companions traveled to Yaoundé, the colonial capital, for further medical attention. So the incident comes just days after Bishop Bibi celebrated his 4th anniversary of Bishop of Boyer, the chief town of the Atlantic Zone of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. The milestone was marked by prayers for his continued leadership and service to the church. Many faithfuls are now intensifying their prayers for his recovery, hoping for many more years of impactful ministry. And then you pause here to ask, what's happening to the roads? Don't they want better roads? Well, as the bishop recuperates, the Diocese of Boyer calls for continued prayers for his health and well-being. When you have roads as such as the one type that's shown on the screen, you'd need bigger prayers for such roads to be done. Bar.Tim Mbeseha. He survived the accident.
He survived the accident, but let us just say that for the purpose of this accident and because of his background as a bishop, we as a community, he happens to be one of us, an Ambazonian, our prayers go to God. We pray for him that at least he didn't die. None of the occupants of the vehicle died. But it happened to him just like it would have happened to anybody. Because bad roads are the normal in Cameroon. And it happened to the bishop, like it could have happened to the other bishop. Look at the roads on which they travel. I remember, this is March, 2 months ago, all the bishops of Cameroon, 26 of them, were in Buea for their annual conference of bishops. And at the end of that conference, they issued a powerful statement to the government of Cameroon, which made a review of all what the country is going through. We remember that even before that, we heard the Bishop of Douala, 2 months before the conference, come out to denounce what is going on in the country and calling poor bears and all them unacceptable. We saw the Bishop of Yagua echo the same thing. These were all religious power authorities talking about what the country is like. And so, if we narrow it to the Bishop of Buea, he too has a diocese. He has a physical area where he operates. There are no roads there. I think places like under Buea, you have places like Monyenge, Ekata, Bafia, they have Catholic missionaries there. There are parishes in those places. In fact, almost the whole diocese of Buea, there's no place that has not been affected by this war. In addition to the bad roads, people have died. People have been killed. And the bishops carry the moral lesson to tell the wrongdoings of others, to be sure that there's no justice there's no peace without justice. And so that is a tip of the iceberg of what is going on. Again, I've said, God willing, he survived. He survived the accident. But we've seen priests and other church people shot and killed, orchestrated by the same regime. That sometimes the bishops, not necessarily Bishop Bibi, they try to turn a blind eye to what is going on. So it is just an underpinning point that it could happen to the bishop as well. We've seen Catholic priests. One of them was killed in Moyoka, his own diocese, shot point blank by the military, and so on and so forth. So roads are just part of the development of a country that everybody will enjoy. They're like peace. They're like any other thing that affects human life. The priests, the bishops, the religious are the spokesperson. They are the moral compass of the society that will look up to them. Where it is talking about roads, where it is talking about the health of the people, where it is talking about anything, you should be able to carry the moral compass and be able to speak the truth. Because if you don't preach for your shepherds, you cannot pray for the people. You should feel the pain. Unlike again, analyzing in terms of religious and the society. If you were sitting, say, in Bamenda, we always quote this, you will not pretend that people who were shot in Pin and Kir are not Christians. They were shot point blank to keep your eyes, to close your eyes to those sort of things. Everybody admits that they were shot by the military. For the church, in any form of shape, bishop, archbishop, pastors, or whatever, to have said nothing about it, means that if that gun fell on them, they will not die. So they should take this thing in a global context. Again, we're happy he survived. Again, we pray for him. But it happened to him, it could have happened to another bishop. What were they going to do again for the ordination of another bishop? And then he had that accident, essentially because of barrels. Barrels are not the specialty of Yakoduma. They're everywhere in Boya, in Bamenda. The bishops themselves are facing the target. So if they stand up and say, look, this example is happening to us. They have been happening to many thousands of people before us. How many people died in Falaise de Champ? Hundreds, we don't even know the number. But they were not bishops, they were not reverend sisters, they were just ordinary people. Why? Why? What did the government do? I saw another episode passing there a few weeks, just last week, in Yaoundé, where the internally displaced in Yaoundé have been chased off Mbesi, where they are just managing a space to live. The church should cry out against those things. Because if you declare war, expect to have internally displaced people. You, the government, you must go in to protect those people. The only person who can give out this information to the world and to the government without fear or favor are the religious. Call them bishops, call them priests, call them pastors, call them moderators, any form of shape. Call them imams. So, otherwise, down the road, they suffer the same pain. That's all I can say about it. Thank you.
All right. Meanwhile, Bar.Tim Mbeseha, over the weekend, we reported about a young man known as Tankraya 237, how he's been in La Republic de Cameroon dungeon because he's been decrying of bad roads. And it's just amazing. A few days after we gave that report, someone is surviving, a big name, a bishop is surviving from these same road accidents, surviving from the accident caused by the bad road, And it just worsens the whole situation. And we're just wondering if the little ones without the names are being held in prisons, how much more the big names? Do you think that it's easier for the big names to actually, say what it is and probably survive? Typical of the road that we are talking about, and it's typical of the road that the bishop would have survived from.
Well, the big man will have to say what the small man is saying unnoticed. Once it comes out of the big man's mouth, it has a meaning. I remember when we were 8 years old to this matter. There's somebody in Yaoundé there in jail for me. It's called Mancho BBC. What was Mancho BBC doing? He carried a coffin and was asking for roads to be fixed in Bamenda. Mancho BBC said to the best of money, they didn't even have a car. He didn't even have a motorcycle. So if they fix the road, the bishops all drive in cars, the pastors all drive in cars, the enjoyment would be theirs. But they took Mancho BBC, it's completely forgotten. Nobody's talking about him. And he's still in jail for standing out as the mayor of Bamenda to fix roads. And so he's gone unnoticed. Again, I'm not sure that Mancho BBC had a bicycle. He had nothing. But if it had come from a bigger voice, You cannot silence him, because if you take the bishop, if you take the pastor, you take away his whole congregation, they will cry. And so it is better for these people to know the pain of the Manchu BBC. It is good for these people to know the pain of that mother who is there living in the country, which is being raped by a senior official of the government. A university professor is a civil servant owned by the government. And so, if this bigger voice carry the cry, chances are that they will listen to. What the bishop said in their last conference was nothing new. That's what everybody has been saying. But because they put their stamp on it, it made news around the world. And so the smaller voice will always die unnoticed. The bigger voice, if you were to die, there will be a cry while you die. Someone will be held accountable for your death, for your punishment. And so until these big people, spiritually or materially, accompany the poor guy, the Manchu BBCs will never survive under a regime which is so bad. Over to you.
All right, and our last report from the home front tonight is from the neighboring La Republic de Cameroon. Now, during an altercation outside their Brazil's hotel, Brigade Anti-Sardines members sprayed Ambassador Daniel Avina and La Republic de Cameroon's Minister of Youth and Civic Education, Numna Fosto, with flour. The incident comes after the group staged a similar protest earlier on Friday at a book dedication event. And so the report goes to say that in the morning in Brussels, members of the activist group Brigade Anti-Sardines sprayed flour on La Republic de Cameroon's Colonial Minister of Youth and Civil Education and Colonial Ambassador Daniel Avina. Now, the attack happened outside their hotel and was in response to remarks Fostu made in a recent video. Meanwhile, you should know that BARS is a group of activists against the 92-year-old President Paul Biya and his colonial government. They are known for using protests to speak out against the actions of colonial government officials. This incident comes just days after BARS disrupted a book dedication event for President Biya on Friday, February 28th. At that event, the protesters also threw flowers on participants, including a certain Professor Bertin Leopold Kuyab, who they thought was Minister Fosu. In that day's protest, BARS members said their goal was to show their anger at the colonial government and its representatives. They called the floor a peaceful way to make a strong statement. Witnesses said the minister and the ambassador quickly went back into the hotel after the attack. No one was hurt and no arrests have been made so far. The colonial government has not commented on the incident as of the time of filing in this report, but BARS has said they will continue their protest until their concerns are addressed. Bar.Tim Mbeseha. These are people fighting outside the home front. These are people speaking for the people in the home front. The strategy of using flour, what do you think that is going to send in the message as it ought to, or you think that is just a regular thing?
No, it's not a regular thing. I think what happened in Brussels, that's in Belgium, is something that we should analyze carefully for people to understand. Those guys in Brussels, call them anything, activists, call them anything, but they were protesting. They were protesting against a government official. You see, yeah, they will not do, any foreign government will not do what they are doing all the time, unless they have foreign allies. Because those are the who steal, and there are many of them. They don't keep the money back home. They come and keep the money abroad, be in Switzerland, anywhere in a foreign bank. They have embassies there, so they will try to do everything around their embassy. And then these people did what they did. In Cameroon, you will not even do it. You will be arrested. In Cameroon, you and me will not even talk what we're talking here. You'll be arrested, you'll be incarcerated, if not killed. And so these people have found a space outside, and they've enumerated emulated what is found outside. The true flaw of that guy, the true flaw. You think there are no stones in Belgium? There are stones there. They could have stoned him to death. There are pieces of wood. They could have clubbed him to death. They have guns. But they didn't do that. They threw flour at him, which is symbolic of a protest in the Western world. Years ago, they were able to throw eggs at the Queen of England. Rotten eggs. They're trying to make a point. They don't want to hurt you, because if you wounded that person, you'll be charged there in Belgium, because you're not allowed to assault people. But you can use any civil way to demonstrate what you don't like. And throwing flour on that guy, painting him under his suit with flour, is enough to tell the home government that is sending him. Yeah, he went there on taxpayers' money. Remember, this is election time. They went there, they mounted a campaign for their government. Either for anybody, they mounted a campaign for the election in Cameroon. And so that reaction of those gentlemen, people in Belgium, ladies and gentlemen who are there, is quite appropriate. It sends a message to them that yes, you and me sitting out here, I'm in the United States. What is going on when we're talking about roots? They affect us. If we're not there to drive our own cars, our sisters, our uncles, our brothers, our wives, they die on bad governments. It affects us even though we don't live there. They die there. There's no hospital for them. There's no good school for them. So we are affected directly or indirectly. But those guys in Belgium, if you count how many of them send money back home to pay school fees for their children, to pay unqualified medical bills for their parents and their dependents, it's a huge sum of money. So what they did, I think, should be applauded, because they did not wound that guy. They did not intend to kill him. They did not throw stones at him. They did not throw spears. They didn't club him. They threw flour. Flour is the thing, go and get into dry cleaner. In the next 30 minutes, it will be clean. But the point has been made. I think they should be congratulated. In Cameroon, they will not even allow you to stand up to say this and so, they will club you to death. Where's Wazizi? For George on an FM station in Bamenda. They took him here, he never come back. And they told us he's dead. Nobody knows where he was buried. And so, if they can do anything to bring down that nonsense, it is something we should be applauded. Because the regime, such as the one in Yemen, is not going to change by itself. They are criminals. Not just criminals, they are hardened criminals. A criminal who was jailed for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, maybe I'm almost sure before you were born, is not going to change to become an angel. He's all going to be hardened more and more in his criminality. And so those ministers who go out to represent that criminal junta in Yaoundé, if they were to suffer those pains, I'm sure they'll think twice next time. So I applaud the people who did that thing. For one thing, for two things. For doing it in the first place, good idea. Secondly, for not giving any physical harm to this guy. They didn't intend to harm them. They are just symbolic of the regime in Yaoundé. They didn't kill them. They didn't wound them. So they should be applauded for their civility and for their good strategy to tell the world that these people who fly in planes on diplomatic passports to come to Brussels, to come to the United States, to go to London, they are not speaking the language, they are not representing anybody in Cameroon. And so, congratulations to those in Belgium, a good lesson to those criminals back home in Yaoundé and the associates. Over to you.
Bar.Tim Mbeseha, thank you so much for being part of tonight's Undaunted. We hope to see you tomorrow for another interesting time on Undaunted. Ambazonians understand the struggle and they know that you are here for all Ambazonians. See you tomorrow for another time. And from us here in the studio, it's good night and God bless.